The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It is brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lauer's in studio with us today. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Seth.
Going to the Maroons game Friday?
You know what? I'm actually going to be out of town this weekend, but I will be tuning in to listen.
Got to hear Ben Hubbard on the call then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Been an exciting season so far. I've not seen them play, but listened to them frequently, and 4-2, I believe it is.
4-2. We need a win to get that playoff spot clinched.
Yeah, we got 3 more games. Is that right?
Yeah, you got Shelbyville, El Paso Gridley, and DMAC. I don't know. I know Shelbyville's this week, but the last two, I don't know what the order is. So,
okay. All right.
Tough road to hoe. Those are good teams.
It is, but some excitement around the Maroons football program, and wish them the best of luck.
Very good, Chief. Well, I know that, of course, we talked here this morning, and folks probably heard before we came on with the Chief, our harvest reports on WHOW up and going, and, of course, the harvest is in full swing. I know we touched on this last month, but never hurts to reiterate some farm safety things.
Sure. I notice it when I'm out and about myself, especially on our rural roads, the exorbitant amount of farm machinery moving from field to field and farm to farm and through the elevators and stuff like that. So a lot of big, heavy equipment on the roadways, slow-moving vehicles, grain haulers, things of that nature. We just ask you to slow down, be patient, plan accordingly, leave a little early to reach your destination so you're not in a hurry. But give them the time. When you find yourself following behind one of those large implements, that they know that you're there. Stay back off of them a little ways so that they know that you're there. You get right up on them. You kind of get in their blind spot. So give them plenty of space. They can see much better than you can from their elevated platforms. So when it's safe for you to pass, generally they're going to move over for you so that you can safely pass. But the main point is just to be patient and slow down and understand that we live in the corn belt of the entire United States here, So this is a period of time in spring and fall when they're busy in the fields that we've got 6 or 8 weeks here of a lot of machinery moving about. And so just ask you to be patient, take your time, plan accordingly, and drive safely. Do your part to keep our roads safe out there.
Sure. A lot of guys are starting with the soybeans, and so the deer activity as guys start to get into the corn. Still a lot of corn standing,
Sure.
So you're going to see a lot more deer movement and some other wildlife moving around a little bit more.
We're already starting to see that. It kind of all comes full circle here, and all comes together about the same time with the cooler weather that gets the deer moving a little bit more. The harvest, we're taking away 70% of their habitat that they've been used to all summer. And not only that, but October 1st began the archery season in Illinois, and so you've got hunters out there scavenging through the woods, pushing them around, and so we have already seen an increase in the car deer vehicle accidents. And those will continue to increase as you mentioned, the corn harvest starts to come out. Also the rut or the breeding season for the deer, late October, early November to mid-November. That's going to get things really moving and really on the move and on the run. And they're not always so conscientious about roadways and vehicle crossings. So anyways, just ask you to slow down, wear those seat belts, especially around dusk and dawn. Seems to be a real busy time for deer movement. So just ask you to be extra vigilant out there on our roadways for the farm machinery, for the deer movement, things of that nature.
Yeah, and speak to, Chief, when when you're in an open area of the rural parts of central Illinois, you've got fields left, right, back, front. Probably not going to see a lot of deer there, but when you get into more kind of densely wooded areas, you might encounter more. Speak to that dynamic a little bit.
Absolutely. We see deer everywhere. I mean, we have a strong deer population in central Illinois, and we see them everywhere, especially this time of year, because, to a deer, that cornfield is like a woods. It's a timber setting for them. So as those start to come out, it's going to condense the deer more to the wooded areas and creek bottoms, things like that. And so as we're traveling across, rural DeWitt County or central Illinois, you've got fields and soon to be bare fields on both sides of the road, but then you come up to a wooded area, especially a wooded area on both sides of the road. Those are primary crossings for deer to be able to see deer and have them crossing the roadway. So, obviously, we want you to slow down, use those bright lights when you can. I personally think, the best thing that you can do is to slow down and honk at a deer. They seem to be quite mesmerized by headlights. Mm-hmm. And so, we also ask that while we don't want to hit a deer and cause damage to our vehicle and everything else, one of the worst things you can do, especially at a decent speed, is swerve to miss a deer. You may be better off to just go ahead and brace for the impact, especially at a slower speed, as to try to swerve to miss the deer. Oftentimes that leads to losing control of a vehicle, running off the roadway where you could impact, a fixed object, tree, something of that nature. So, again, slowing down, turning those brights on, looking for deer off the sides of the roadway, things of that nature, especially in those wooded areas and more nature type conducive environments.
As I just say, coming home on 10 on Friday nights from football games and stuff, I'm just, for whatever reason, just very cognizant of the very, wooded areas around Clinton Lake.
Absolutely. As you're talking about Route 10, Route 54, as they pass the lake and those wooded areas, those are conservation areas, very heavily populated with deer. Deer, coyotes, all kinds of wildlife, but certainly this time of year, those are the areas that you want to slow down and be extra alert.
Sure. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lauer in studio with us here on this morning on the morning show. And so, Chief, with that said, of course, harvest season is underway. Anything else kind of keeping your staff busy right now?
No, a lot going on. We talk about every month. It seems like we talk about what's keeping us busy. There's always something. It just transitions from year to year. We just finished up the Apple and Pork Festival a couple weekends ago. Endured 80,000 of our favorite visitors to Clinton, and enjoyed that weekend. Had beautiful weather for the weekend for the festival, so a great turnout. One more of those in the books. I think that was the 56th annual. Mm-hmm. So always good to have that behind us, and once we get that weekend behind us, we just kind of start into the next phase. And with harvest season, the leaves are going to be changing here soon. We're dealing with some ordinance issues in terms of that we'll look ahead about, that we can talk about in a bit. We got Halloween coming up the end of the month. That's an exciting time for the kids. So it's just, and we'll go from that, and then we'll transition into, the holidays of Thanksgiving and shopping. And, it seems like it's a real marathon here from apple and pork to the first of the year.
Yeah, no question. Well, I'll tell you what, Chief, let's take a break and come back and dive more into that marathon. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lauer's in studio with us. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW. Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. A steady start for corn, beans trading lower, and wheat slightly higher. December corn 420 and 3/4, opening unchanged. March corn also unchanged, 438 and 1/4. May corn 447 and 1/2, unchanged. November beans starting today 10.12, down 4 1/4. January beans down 4 1/4, 10.30 and 1/4. And March beans 10.45 and 1/2, down 3 3/4. December wheat starting 5.97 and 1/2, up 2 3/4. March wheat up 3 pennies, 6.21 and 1/4. May wheat 6.34, up 2 3/4. December bean meal 3.22.60, that's down 40 cents. December bean oil 42.47, down 62 cents. Opening numbers on this Wednesday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Here's CEO Paul Skowron from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton on their expanded state-of-the-art emergency room.
There are now new but more private exam rooms and treatment rooms and isolation rooms, and there is a nurse station like the larger hospitals have that we've never had.
This emergency room expansion means big hospital tech, small hospital caring. Warner Hospital and Health Services expanded ER in Clinton.
Are you wanting to learn more about your health and wellness options in Central Illinois? Visit stealthwellness.com or click on my banner ad at dewittdailynews.com. Let me, Dr. Bill Byers, show you some simple, under-the-radar ways to improve and take control of your health.
This is Brett Zerfowski with Central Cremation Center. We have expanded our business and now offer private pet cremations to memorialize your loyal companion. Find out more about us by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. And again, Clinton Police Chief Ben Lauer is in studio with us here today. Chief, at the end of our first segment there, you teased Halloween coming up, end of the month. Let's talk Halloween.
It is. Obviously, October 31st this year, I believe it falls on a Thursday. Trick-or-treating hours for the city of Clinton are 5 to 8 p.m. There is, I believe the Chamber is who sponsors the trick-or-treating on the square from 4 to 5 p.m. I think the police department, we're a little sporadic at that. I think we're going to try to take part in that this year again. But trick-or-treating on the square from 4 to 5 p.m., making that loop around, hitting all the businesses. That's always a big turnout. And then our normal trick-or-treating hours from 5 to 8 p.m. here in the city of Clinton. To discuss some Halloween safety issues, first we're going to start with the costumes, some things we talk about and kind of just review every year. Costumes, making sure that costume fits and avoiding any tripping hazards. Loose, long costumes create tripping hazards. And, I remember this with my own girls. Everybody wants to be a princess. But
Now, did you want to be a princess?
I didn't. As much as my sisters may have wanted me to dress up like one, no. But anyways, all those young girls and their princesses and just the different things, the capes and all that, just make sure that we're being cognizant and avoiding any tripping hazards. It's an exciting time for the kids, and so we don't want to have that result in some type of an injury. Swords, knives, and other accessories should be short, flexible, and soft. Obviously no sharps or hard objects. Masks. We ask you to wear your mask once you arrive at the door, and then prop it up on your head when you're walking from, everybody wants that scary mask or whatever else, but there's a time and place to display that, and maybe walking in between the homes, an ability to flip that up on your head so that you can see good. Bright and reflective clothing. A good idea is to put a piece of reflective tape, front and back on that child, so that they will be more visible. For trick-or-treating itself, we ask that children under the age of 12 are accompanied by an adult. To never trick-or-treat alone, go in groups with a trusted adult, and stay in known neighborhoods. Carry a flashlight. This isn't just for you, it's so others can also see you. Another good idea, several years ago, the police department passed out glow sticks rather than candy. Those glow sticks, whether it's a wristband or a necklace, I guess, making you visible to the other people in the motoring traffic in those neighborhoods.
Oh, my kids can't get enough glow sticks. You
Is
do
that right?
You do that again this year. Oh my gosh, they wear glow sticks like Halloween and 4th of July, and just they'll wear them to bed, and then they won't sleep. Oh, it's terrible,
Seth,
Chief.
you've given me a great challenge.
Oh
now.
my gosh, great.
We ask you to only go to homes with the light on. Don't run, but rather walk in between homes. Walk on the sidewalks, cross the corners. There's going to be an increase in traffic in these neighborhoods. Watching the kids, but we ask you to stick to the sidewalks, stick to the driveways. Don't run across yards. It will be dark. We want to avoid those tripping hazards and things like that. When it comes to the treats, this is something that's kind of near and dear to me, and it's unfortunate that we live in the world that we do today. But we ask that you eat only factory wrapped treats. Make sure that there's not been any type of manipulation to that treat, and that they are still factory sealed. Avoid homemade treats made by strangers. That was the excitement when I was a kid. There was an elderly woman, and when I say she was an elderly woman, she was probably the age I am now. But when I was a 6 or 8 year old kid, she seemed significantly old. But anyways, made the best popcorn balls in the world. And that was always an excitement to go.
Yeah.
People made homemade treats, and it's unfortunate though. That was some of the excitement of Halloween. But for safety purposes, we ask that you don't eat homemade treats from strangers and stick to your factory-wrapped treats and candy. Have an adult examine the candy before it's consumed by the children, just to check it for safety purposes.
We call that the mommy-daddy tax.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Maybe we're going to have to add a chief tax to
Yeah,
these things.
yeah,
So,
for sure. You need grandkids so you can do the grand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. A great idea that Chief Reedy, I know he always talked about that I've carried on that I hadn't thought about prior to is giving that child gum during trick-or-treating. It keeps their mouth occupied and avoiding wanting to eat those treats, until you get home and can examine them under light. So just some things to think about. Again, it's an exciting time of year for the kids. I know, heaven forbid, I wouldn't want to be a teacher on Friday when they all come to school with their sugar highs. But
and plus it's a Friday, and
absolutely,
man.
it's just got all the makings for a disaster.
The Maroons are going to be playing a playoff game that next day.
Is that right?
Yeah,
that'll
so it'll
be great.
Oh my gosh,
That'll be
that's
great.
just going to be too much in that school. They
Exciting
really
time.
should just give them the day off this year. That's what they ought to do.
We're gonna have to break in a new what's the word I'm looking
Rule?
for? No, Mr. Nettles.
Tradition.
Mr. Goebel. New superintendent. We've got a new superintendent that we've got to get broken in
yeah.
on these days off. But we'll get to that at another time. So, anyways, Halloween, again, a very exciting time of year, but we rely on the parents to be responsible and to teach those kids responsibility when it comes to trick-or-treating and make sure that everybody's safe. So, wishing everybody a safe and successful Halloween evening.
Very good.
So.
Very good, Chief. Well, I know you mentioned it that and kind of towards Halloween, we start to see the leaf cleanup really pick up as the leaves are falling. Let's speak to that and those rules in the community.
Yep. It seems like fall is coming on fast, especially with this week. We've got lows in the 40s. The fields have turned from a lush green to their maturity here just within the last couple weeks, and those crops are starting to diminish through the fields by the combines. But with that, we're starting to see just a hint of leaves changing, and that's going to come on pretty rapidly here in the next couple of weeks. But leaf pickup, I remind residents of Clinton that we do have a burn ban. There is no burning in the city of Clinton, no burning of leaves or otherwise. Only recreational fires are allowed for cooking and grilling purposes. But anyways, with the leaves falling, we want to remind people that the Clinton's yard waste facility is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. After the time change, those hours change to 3 to 5 p.m. To still accommodate the light. They're open on Saturdays from 8 to noon and 1 to 5. Where leaves, limbs, things of that nature, yard waste can be delivered. The pickup, the city's leaf pickup, will begin in November, and it's the third week of each month. They'll do a little extra during leaf falling time, I guess. We ask you to rake those leaves to the side of the edge of the street, not into the street per se, but to the edge of the street, the curbs, things of that nature. Please don't block the sidewalks. As we talk about fall, we talk about harvest safety, we talk about the leaves falling, as these leaves fall with these heavy dews and we start to get a frost, wet leaves can mimic ice when it comes to the slickness of the roadway. So not only walking, especially to motorcycles, bicycles, things of that nature, but also vehicles. Wet leaves on the roadway, on pavement, can be extremely slick. So we ask you to be cognizant of that. Also to discuss that with young drivers who may not have experienced such yet. Again, fall brings on a whole new dynamic of roadway issues and things of that nature. But back to the ordinance stuff. That is the that is the program for the city of Clinton and leaf pickup and limb pickup. With that, also we're losing one of our employees, Officer Larry Wooling, who has served as our code enforcement officer for several years on a part-time basis. His normal hours, he works Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's kind of his retirement gig, but he tells us he's going to retire for good this time, and the 1st of November will be his last day with us. And I want to thank Larry. He has been a phenomenal asset to our department, having brought some municipal leadership experience and also law enforcement experience to that role. He's going to be extremely difficult to replace. So, again, we thank Officer Wooling for his time with the police department.
Very good, Chief. Always good to catch up with you. Thanks for making time for us. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers in studio with us. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WH